Welcome to this video on forensic science, focusing on trace evidence. Presented by Dr. Anjaney Kumar. Trace evidence consists of any small pieces of material, whether man-made or naturally occurring. The most common examples are hair and fiber. When analyzing trace evidence, investigators ask several key questions. What is the material? Is it natural or man-made? What is its source? How common is it? And finally, can it be identified to a single sort? Human hair is frequent evidence at violent crime scenes. Analyzing hair helps determine if it is human or animal, its origin, race, whether it has been treated, how it was removed, or if drugs were ingested. Regarding DNA in hair, the shaft contains abundant mitochondrial DNA, which is inherited from mothers and useful when body DNA is unavailable. Only the hair root contains nuclear DNA. Hair morphology is the study of hair structure. The three main parts are the shaft, which sticks out of the skin, the root, found below the epidermis, and the follicle, from which the hair grows. Understanding hair growth involves three stages: anagen, which is the growth phase, catagen, the resting phase, and telogen, the dying phase. Hair grows at roughly 1 centimeter per month. The hair cuticle is the outermost layer, covered in scales that point toward the tip. These scales, which vary by species, include types like mosaic, pectinate, imbricate, petal, diamond petal, and chevron. Here we see examples of two specific scale patterns, the mosaic pattern and the chevron pattern. Continuing with scale types, this view highlights the appearance of the pectinate and imbricate pattern. And finally, for our scale types, here are the petal and diamond petal patterns. To visualize human hair scales, a forensic scientist can apply fingernail polish to a slide, press a hair into it, and then lift the hair to observe the scale impressions left behind. Moving to the hair cortex, it gives hair its shape and is characterized by melanin, which provides color, and cortical fusae, which are air spaces often found near the root. The medulla is the core of the hair and is not always present. Its patterns are classified as continuous, intermittent or interrupted, fragmented, or absent. The medulla exhibits various patterns, including uniserial, multiserial, vacuolated, lattice, and amorphous, which refers to a hair core without a distinct pattern. When examining a human medulla, you will find it can appear continuous, fragmented, or even be completely absent. The appearance of the rabbit medulla varies by hair type. The multiserial pattern is shown on the left, while the uniserial ladder pattern, typical of guard hair, is shown on the right. The medullary index is determined by dividing the diameter of the medulla by the total diameter of the hair. Generally, human hair has an index less than 1/3, while animal hair is usually greater than 1/2. Comparing hair involves looking at color, length, diameter, and the distribution of pigment granules. Additional factors include scale types, medullary features, and the results of treatments like dyeing or bleaching. Proper evidence collection requires questioned hairs to be accompanied by sufficient control samples. This includes taking full-length samples from the victim, suspects, and anyone else who might have deposited hair at the scene. Hair toxicology offers several advantages. It is easy to collect and store, it is externally accessible, and it can provide a history of an individual's drug use over time. The hair testing procedure begins with cutting a sample close to the scalp. After washing the hair to remove contaminants, it is sectioned, digested, screened for antibodies, and finally confirmed through gas chromatography and mass spectrometry. Fiber evidence is vital for connecting suspects to scenes, as seen in the landmark case of Wayne Williams. Generally, fibers provide more individual characteristics for comparison than rootless hair samples. Synthetic fibers are composed of polymers, which are long chains of repeating chemical units called monomers. By altering the structure or weaving of these monomers, different types of fibers are created with unique forensic characteristics. This section provides an overview of the analysis of fibrous material based on resources from the FBI. Fibers are broadly categorized into synthetic and natural groups. Synthetic examples include polyester and nylon, while natural fibers range from silk and cotton to wool and cashmere. Fibers are primarily classified according to their origin: vegetable or cellulose, animal or protein, and mineral sources. Cellulose fibers include plant-based materials like cotton and ramie, as well as man-made variations like rayon and acetate, which are chemically derived from cellulose. Can you visually distinguish between these cotton fibers on the left and the rayon fibers on the right? Petroleum plastics made from coal, natural gas, and oil derivatives include common fibers like nylon, polyester, acrylic, and spandex, each known for distinct physical properties. Moving to protein fibers, we look at wool, most commonly from sheep, but also goats, rabbits, camels, and other animals. Silk is another animal fiber, created by silkworms to form their cocoons, prized for its ability to reflect light and provide insulation. Mineral fibers include asbestos, historically used for its fire-resistant properties. Other manufactured mineral fibers include metallics, like mylar, and fiberglass. Fabric production involves creating yarns from fibers, which are then processed by knitting, weaving, bonding, or other methods. These processes determine the fabric's stretch, softness, durability, and water repellence. Woven fabrics are created by interlacing warp and weft yarns. Warp yarns run the length of the fabric, while weft yarns run across. Common weave patterns include plain, twill, and satin. The plain weave is the simplest and most common type, resembling a checkerboard pattern where the warp and weft yarns alternate passing under each other. Twill weaves are characterized by a diagonal design. They are created by passing the warp yarn over 1 to 3 weft yarns before going under. Denim is a classic example of a twill weave. Satin weaves use non-uniform interlacing, where a yarn passes over 4 or more others. This creates long floats in the fabric structure, and satin is the most common example of this type. Knitted fabrics are made by interlocking loops of 1 or more continuous threads. Rows of loops are drawn through one another to form the finished material. Forensic fiber identification involves microscopic examination to check for color and surface characteristics. Tools like microspectrophotometers and chromatography are used to analyze dye composition for more detailed comparisons. Polarizing microscopes help determine refractive indices by observing the disappearance of the Becky line when a fiber is immersed in a specific fluid. Additionally, infrared microspectrophotometry reveals how fibers absorb light, creating a unique pattern for identification. Proper collection of fiber evidence is critical. Items should be bagged individually in paper, tape lifts used on exposed surfaces, and loose fibers carefully folded into paper sheets before storage. Trace evidence is generally considered to have class characteristics. Individual characteristics can only be established if there is a single source, contamination of multiple materials, or advanced methods like DNA analysis available. Ultimately, the precision of forensic fiber analysis provides investigators with invaluable leads that can definitively place a suspect at the scene of a crime.